Hey everyone, welcome back to another sound-only podcast for the channel Andie Talks Too Much. Yes, I did it in reverse this time, completely by accident. Alright, so I'm going to use this time to actually talk about something that I've been thinking about, but the girl I'm dating actually managed to put it into better words than I could. And that was the concept of morality in religion. Now, so some of the time I've come across people trying to make the argument that if God or an afterlife doesn't exist, then how can there be morality? And the thing about it is that this argument is kind of not good when you think about it too much, because of the fact that it's like if your entire morality is based around the concept of reward in the form of heaven or punishment in the form of hell, then what exactly is that? It sounds like a very childish view of what morality is, because of the fact that that's like saying, "Oh, I don't want to touch the thing because mommy will get in trouble. Mommy will get mad at me and put me in the corner." That is basically what morality is like in religion, at least from this point of view of some people who try to argue for its necessity. And it's kind of weird to think about it, because a lot of these people are like saying that the problem is that a lot of these people are saying that if it turned out that God didn't exist, or it turned out there was no afterlife, they'd actually probably go on a murder spree of some kind, because they'd feel like, oh well, there's no point in being good then, when that's not exactly how that works either. And that's something that does scare me a little bit, like because it seems like a lot of these people are like ticking time bombs because of the fact that their whole sense of morality is hanging on by a very, very thin, fragile thread. Like, the fact of the matter is that you don't necessarily need to prove that God doesn't exist or that there is no afterlife. The pastor who's been teaching them, or the religious leader who's been teaching this whole time, and they end up like getting arrested for some kind of immoral behavior that they spoke out against, then it becomes a question of whether or not everything they said was a lie. And some of these people who base their entire view of morality on whether or not they're hearing is true may go off and try to do some horrible stuff because they feel like there is no morality because they were lied to. And that actually scares me, because there are a lot of people like this, probably millions of people like this, who would probably go and do exactly that for the sole purpose of because they end up finding out that maybe they were lied to. And that is actually a scary thought. And the thing about it is that the sense of morality also doesn't work in this case of if there's a divine punisher and he's practically saying, "Oh, you better do good or I'm going to throw you into eternal damnation," then how is that morality? That's not morality, that's not being good, that's a hostage situation. That'd be the equivalent of somebody holding a gun to your head and saying, "Give money to the poor or else I'm going to blow your head off." How does that work in people's heads? But I'm trying not to be too harsh with it, but the whole issue here is that is that these people who have this sense of morality are essentially victims of a system that perpetuates this kind of thing in the first place. Like, the people who, like, you have parents who will teach their kids that, "Oh, you better be good or God's going to throw you into hell," and they base their entire life choices on that rather than basing it on something more altruistic or humanistic, and which would work better. But and it doesn't, and then they perpetuate it again and again, and it goes down generations. So you end up having several generations of people, and even more people, who have literally no sense of morality beyond a childish view of reward and punishment. And that could just be headed for collapse, like, really easily, because of the fact that if they were to find out something, or if their faith ever broke, they'd probably just go off on something like that. And maybe that's a little extreme to assume that they would, but some of the ways they talk about morality in this way, if anybody talks about morality in this way, probably should steer clear of those people, because they are saying that they are dangerous, and the only thing keeping them in check is their belief in God and an afterlife. Alright, so I'm in this podcast here, so be sure to check out my other videos, those Prizebox Questions videos, or our channels Prizebox Gaming and Prizebox Reacts, and remember to check out my main channel, The True Andie M. Thanks for listening, and stay jamming, everyone.